So we just celebrated Halloween, which means Thanksgiving's up next. And Terrifier 2 is the Thanksgiving feast of slasher films. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back again to The Haunted Beard. My name is Jake. Thank you for joining me today. Today's video I am excited about because I got a chance to sit down and watch Terrifier 2, and I've got some thoughts. What a movie. Anyways, let's get into this thing. So after being resurrected by a sinister entity, Art the Clown returns to the timid town of Miles County, where he targets a teenage girl and her younger brother on Halloween night. And as I said, this movie is the Thanksgiving feast of slasher films. This thing is self-indulgent, self-absorbed. This is slasher movie gluttony. It is completely overboard and excessive in every possible way, but I had a pretty fun time with this thing, and overall I enjoyed it quite a bit. Now I want to give you just some quick thoughts on the first Terrifier movie, just so you can kind of maybe understand where I'm coming from. I've seen the first Terrifier film once, and it's been a little while ago now. I think it was fairly recent after it had come out, and I'm kind of in the middle of the road on that movie. It's probably like a 5 out of 10 type movie. I like Art the Clown. I liked kind of the grindhouse look to it, and it definitely had some solid and memorable kills and some good practical effects, but it definitely left, I think, quite a bit to be desired in terms of story and characters. And so there's some good stuff, there's some not so good stuff. I'm kind of right down the middle on that movie. The Terrifier 2 is absolutely an improvement. One of the highlights for me is the character of Sienna and the performance played by Lauren Lavera. And she's really good in this, and I really like the character that Damien Leone wrote. And she is a significant step up in terms of character in anything that we get out of the first Terrifier film. And she's somebody who it's easy to root for. And you know that she's gone through some tragedy and is experiencing just some trauma and severe anxiety. And there's just a nice character arc with her, and she's strong, and you root for her, and you can sympathize with her, and you feel for her. And I really like what they do just with the whole kind of costume thing and sort of her connection to her father. And I like what they do towards the end of the movie with kind of the phoenix rising out of the ashes type scene, and sort of her resurrection and sort of becoming who she's supposed to be kind of thing. And I just thought that was really great. I really hope that we get to see more of her character, and just a really solid final girl, really. And so I hope that we do get to see more of Sienna's character. Definitely one of the highlights for me. I really enjoyed that aspect. Now let's talk about Art the Clown. And I think Art the Clown is quickly becoming at least a bit of a cult favorite, kind of a new emerging horror slasher icon. I really like the character, and I really like the performance as well from David Howard Thornton. And one of the things that I like about Art the Clown the best is that I feel like it is a really nice balance and mixture between some of the big horror icons. You kind of get flavors from each side. So like on one side of the horror icons, you got kind of your Michael and Jason. They're these cold, silent killers. And then on the other side, you've got like a Freddy and a Chucky, who are more vocal, more sort of entertainers. They're dropping one-liners and being comedic. And I feel like you get just a good mixture of both of those infused into Art the Clown. He's still silent, but there's a lot of performance and entertainment and a theatrical element to him. So he is just that cold kind of evil killer, but you also get some of that kind of entertainment performance aspect of his performance as well. And so I just really like that. I like how they kind of mix them together. I really like the look. I think, doing a clown, just hearing that concept doesn't seem super original, but I think just the look and the creation of him is something that really sticks out and is quite memorable. And so another just highlight of this movie for me. Really enjoy Art the Clown and the entire performance behind that. Other aspects of this movie that I enjoyed, I like the score. I like how it kind of brought an 80s sort of synth musical score into it. I think it works pretty well. I like the look of the movie as well. It's kind of weird because there was a part of it where, at least in the beginning, I couldn't remember as far as like a time frame of when the first Terrifier took place. And so I was wondering, I'm like, does this kind of take place in the 80s almost? It sort of has that, just kind of that look to it. It has sort of a kind of a gritty sort of exploitation grindhouse kind of look to it. And but it's set in modern day, and so it's set in modern day, but it kind of has this old look to it, and so it just kind of gives it an interesting sort of dynamic there. But I really like just kind of the look and the presentation visually from the movie, and I like what they did here for the most part in terms of the story. They kind of introduce, I think, in a way, some elements of mystery, because me as a viewer, I was kind of asking questions and trying to. It definitely seems like they were trying to kind of expand on this world and expand on Art the Clown, and so there's just kind of these questions of like, what exactly is he? What sort of killer is he? He's seemingly clearly something more than human, but we're not really sure. I like that they brought in elements with Sienna and Jonathan, her younger brother's father, and just his notebook, and how he kind of had these premonitions there, and why exactly is Art the Clown hunting them particularly. And so there's just kind of this mysterious, intriguing element that they brought narratively that really kind of opens things up, and just kind of gives us more of a story structure to kind of latch onto. That does lead me into maybe a little bit of a negative, a little bit of a complaint, is that I wish that it would have given us a little bit more answers. I wish it would have kind of given us something, maybe not necessarily having to answer all those questions, but I feel like a lot of that is kind of still up in the air. We're still not entirely sure just really the answers to any of those questions. And so in a lot of ways, it sort of leaves you kind of on a cliffhanger, and it kind of sets you up. They're clearly sort of heading in the direction of, okay, well, we're going to make more of these, which I'm typically not a fan of. I don't typically like movies that just are kind of a filler to just, oh, we'll get to that in the next one. I like when you can kind of tell a complete story. It is only the second film, right? It's not like we're 5, 6, 7 movies into this thing and they're doing that, so it makes it a little bit better. And they've definitely created enough intrigue that I do want to see more. And so just a little bit of a mild complaint there. I wish we would have gotten a little bit of something, a little bit of the answers that at least from the questions that I was asking. And now, obviously, I can't talk about this movie without talking about the kills, because the kills in Terrifier 2 are, holy crap, insane. This movie brings it. I mean, if you like slasher movies, there's just no way you're not going to enjoy that aspect of this. I mean, it is absolutely just insane. The kills here are just evil and brutal and sadistic and completely egregious and over the top. And I liked it, man. It's so insane. I mean, my gosh, it's out of control. But in terms of just sort of the creativity of the kills and just the practical effects work, it is really, really impressive. I was very impressed with the practical effects work. There is not an ounce of CGI to be found in this thing, at least that I could detect at all. And it's all practical, and my goodness, this movie is all the better for it. And I think in terms of slasher kills, I mean, this has to set kind of the new standard, the new bar, because my goodness. And I think with the intensity and the gruesomeness of the kills, they're kind of spread out well. I think sometimes I was kind of a little bit concerned that it was going to be like so much that you almost kind of become numb to it, and then it kind of loses its overall effectiveness. But it definitely doesn't. They're kind of spaced out well. Kind of gives you a bit of a chance to breathe between each one. They don't really overwhelm you with just volume, and each one really kind of stands out, and each one is just, it's just handled so well, and it's so unique, and just all the kills in this are just really top notch. There are a couple points in the movie where after the kill I just had to briefly pause it and like take a breath, because you're kind of used to, even in really sort of gruesome, gory slasher movies, there's still, like, I feel an element of of restraint, right? Like, they don't show everything. No, Terrifier 2, they show everything. This thing pulls no punches. I mean, there was a time, I'm just sitting there like this, I'm like, oh my God, like, you kind of can't believe they go there. Like, there's a particular scene where Art has just butchered this person, and then it kind of stops and you think it's over, and then he comes back and adds insult to injury, so to speak, and it's just like, what in the world, dude? What did I sign up for? It is just completely madness. And I can't help but mention there's a particular scene later on involving a character named Jeff. And oh, Jeff. I'll just say I had to adjust myself a little bit after that one. That was a rough one. But anyways, look, I overall had a pretty fun time with this movie. It is, you know, yeah, it's too long, sure. And like I said, it is completely self-indulgent and excessive and over the top. It is the Thanksgiving feast. And typically when you want to feast, you have, you know, a slice of pumpkin pie. Well, this is like having 3 slices of pumpkin pie. And, you know, not advisable, but maybe once a year during the Thanksgiving feast, it's okay to splurge a little. And that's exactly what Terrifier 2 is. This movie is over the top, extreme, just brutally horrific in every way. And I gotta admit, I enjoyed myself pretty well for the most part. So yeah, those are my thoughts. If I was grading this just in terms of the actual kills, it would be like a 10 out of 10. I think these are some of the best kills and some of the best practical effects work I've ever seen. But overall, I'm going to go like a 7 out of 10 for Terrifier 2, but I am looking forward. I can only assume that they are going to be making at least one more film in this series, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to see what they bring. So those are my thoughts on Terrifier 2. Hit me up down in the comments. Let me know what your guys' thoughts were on this movie. It is something. It's really something. So let me know down below. Would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you like content like this. That's what I do on the Haunted Beard, horror, thriller movie content coming at you. I will see you next time on the Haunted Beard.